And is it working? Strange. All right. It just dropped. It said there was a stream encoder error. And I restarted the stream and it's working. Okay. All right. That's weird. Yeah. Yeah, oh, I got nothing there. I don't really understand why, but for some reason it stopped. It just said encoder error. I clicked OK, start stream again, and it works. Technology. That's how this happens. You know, if it all just worked, what would we do? I thought your fiber was cut. Oh, I know. Poor Railstream. Mike had a bad day with AT&T. A bad 40-hour with AT&T event. Oh, man. Oh, cool. The restart put it back on top of the feed. Yeah. Yeah, strange. How would we make money if it all just worked? Over the Atlantic. Oh, man, that sounds fun. You're going somewhere pretty cool, it sounds, if you're over the Atlantic. If it just worked, what we moan about. I mean, that's true too. Yeah, definitely less to moan about when it all just works. I've been playing with a few things though that let's drag it all over here. n8n is on the list too. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I got my fanciness set up so I can do this, press a button, puts me in the corner. I'm going to buy a bigger Stream Deck. This works, so I can move myself from side to side, but I think I want more buttons, so I can just move myself different places. That might be the easiest solution. I will be going over, I'll answer any questions about it today because it says Q&A, but I'll be talking more about some of the Docker things I have. I've been rebuilding things and adding more things to Docker. The projects I'll be talking about besides n8n will be 20 in the future. Once I'm done rebuilding that, I'll set it up. But I finally, and this is something probably a lot of you already have, so I know I'm late to the party. I've been a big Home Assistant fan, but I never got around to playing with any of these presence detections. And now that I have it, yeah, it works really well. I went with the Aqara. I don't know how you say it. Aqara. However that is pronounced. It works quite well. I purposely wanted one that didn't have batteries, that was just USB powered because of where it's going on the wall. There's power, there's an adapter there. I never wanted to have to touch it again. Like I put it on there, and specifically I put it at my bench. And this is accurate. So if I move, I am that much closer to my bench. And the accuracy of it is nice because I have it set up. So first, room presence detection, and that triggers turning all my lights on. Second is distance to my bench, because I have my desk and then separately I have a workbench over there where, well, I'm working on projects. And I've now got it all tuned. So when I walk up to my workbench has a lot of lights, but they're so bright they're annoying because they're too bright and they reflect on my screen, and I don't want the room that bright unless I'm working on something. So when I walk up to my bench, if I stand at my bench for 2 seconds, that's the timer, it says, all right, turn on. And then after I walk away, I got to be gone for more than 15 seconds, and it turns them all off. So now I've got simple things like turn the lights on when I come in the room, turn the bench on if I'm standing at it, but don't turn the bench on if I reach over or walk over to the bench, because I can't reach it. My arms aren't 12 feet long. If I go over to the bench and grab a screwdriver, I'm not there long enough to need the lights to come on. So it's the little things like that. I love automation. Now, all of these have manual overrides, which is really important to me, that any of this is controlled manually in case Home Assistant goes down. I don't want to be just fumbling around in here. But it's like kind of like Jeff Geerling said, and I just like the way he phrased it in his video about it. I need my smart home not to be dumb. So, it's been nice slowly getting around to organizing and making it all like work really well. I'm just really happy about it. I just switched from PFSense to Unify UCG Fiber. Really happy. Yeah. I got the Stream Deck XL. Yeah. See, I got the Mini. That's the one I mean. It's, I think definitely cable's too short for me to bring it. I can guess I can bring it up. Come on. Oh, it's tangled. There's no way for the cable to pull. Well, I mean, I could really pull on that cable and make it come out further, but that would probably be bad. But the little Stream Deck Mini has served me well over the years. I mean, I've had this thing for quite a while. It's actually, I think it's been dropped somehow, probably when I moved into the studios. It's got a couple good nicks in it. And it usually doesn't get nicked up sitting on my desk. But the Stream Deck Mini has held up well. I might use it for something else. I don't know. It could be repurposed. I was just trying to avoid buying something bigger. I'm a very minimal person, and I try to get away with, as long as I can, minimal things. You just got the Aquera Cube T1. I haven't played with the Cube T1. Oh, HDDs? Yeah. You know, the Aquera sensor is actually pretty cheap, so I don't know that it's that big of a deal. You're thinking about doing HEA, but thinking of running DC and wired connection sensors and motors for wireless. Looking for your opinion. I don't know about running. I mean, what sensors have the ability to be cabled is kind of would be my question. This is the one I bought. I mean, it's, I don't know. This is going to be, and I, like I said, just purchased it. It's $36 free shipping. This seemed reasonable for my room. This is enough to cover my room. But yeah, I mean, $36 a sensor can add up pretty quick. I found this to be reasonable. The reviews on it were good because it seems to be very accurate. And that's the part I cared about, was accuracy. There are definitely cheaper sensors out there, but I watched, there's one person who took the time, and I mean one that I can find. If you search for a video for like comparing a few sensors, that's the only YouTube video that comes up where someone actually has like an hour-long video where they took and bought all the sensors and tested every one of them. That's a lot to do. That's a lot of work. So there's like I said, this one at $36 seemed pretty reasonable, and I like Z-Wave and Zigbee things. Yeah, using image to organize your memes. It's probably not an intended use case, but yeah. So it's something that can be done. I don't know. I don't know if that's what they intended it for. What do I think about the new X06? X06 is pretty cool. You got 1 gig symmetrical CenturyLink. That's nice. Is it worth going TrueNAS for Homelab, or do you recommend alternatives? I only do TrueNAS for Homelab. For me. Well, no, I got Synologies here too, because I support Synologies commercially. I have a lot of things in my lab because customers have questions, and I would like to answer those questions. And they have ideas and how they want to set things up. So yeah, I have both. I've always been a big fan of TrueNAS and Homelab, but I don't think there's anything wrong with using like Unraid or Synology in the Homelab. I know Synology's been controversial with the drive thing and the lock-in problem, but Unraid's popular as well. I just don't like Unraid's not bad in terms of like functionality, but in terms of performance is where Unraid just falls short. And I like TrueNAS. It's been around forever. I trust ZFS very well. I use replication for everything I'm doing, so it just makes a lot of sense. Yeah, if you have a XG7100, you're not going to get over 3 gigs per stream. So if you're doing something like iPerf, you're going to have to split it up into more streams. This is some of the limitations of the pfSense kernel hitting processor limits. There's not much that can be done about that. I don't think there's really not much changed in PF Blocker NG. So I think I've done a video in less than 5 years, but I don't think there's enough changed about it for me to do a new video. It's pretty much the same software as it was 5 years ago. That's my big challenge with pfSense videos. I could do a new version, but it wouldn't be different because I don't think there's enough changes. I have to double check, look at my old video and look at the new version and set it up. But I don't think there's anything groundbreaking or new about it for me to do a new video. Do you have a firewall that would support 8 gigs? Unify does. So Unify definitely has firewalls that support. Matter of fact, let's pull one up real quick. Let's go to the Unify site. Might be on sale. Unify's having some holiday sale, I think. So if we were looking at, I mean, we'll jump right to, because these I know are 5. So right here, your Enterprise Fortress Gateway does 12.5 gigs. So this is what I have right here. This one does 5, the Dream Machine Pro Max. This is mine. And then you have the Enterprise Fortress Gateway, which can do, has a 25 gig connector, but can do 12.5 gigs of data. So, and I think, let's go. The Netgate 8300, does it have the speed on it? Yeah, so this one can actually do 26 gigs. But it's also not single stream. I already know. I did the video on this one. And it's $3,500. So, yeah. If you want this one, that's the one that'll do it. Yeah, pfSense, I've been testing this, hitting the 4 gig per stream limit on a 25 gig link. Yep, that's completely normal. There is limitations on the hardware that the routing can only happen so fast on those. It's just been a, challenge, if you will. Yeah, does anyone remember these? Come on, focus. There we go. For anyone who hasn't seen one of these were the old Netgate firewalls. There we go. So yes, I still have a pocket. I guess we'll call it a pocket firewall. It fits in my pocket. It also fits. It sits inside of a glass. So it lives there. You heard the ting in the background. I don't know if the noise filtering took that out, but the ting noise in the background was me dropping it back in the glass, and that's where it lives. I've been using pfSense that long. I bought one of those. That's forever ago. Back over to here. Speaking of TrueNAS, let's talk about TrueNAS. Ooh. This one might work. Let's see if this one works. Ooh, this workflow. I've been building some n8n workflows to play with TrueNAS. So I like TrueNAS a lot. I don't like the fact that TrueNAS, I don't know where that email went. Says it sent an email. Where did it go? Need to find an email. Hold on. Let me see what address it goes to, because I don't want to publicly post that. It should go right to the mail pit system. Okay. I know where it's supposed to go. I don't think it went. Oh, it just took a second. Return to inbox. Nope, that's that one. Delete all. Run again. Well, execute step. All right, that seems to be going. So execute workflow. Workflow. Oh, it didn't get to the end of the workflow. But I can show you this. You can see what it's doing. This one we're still working on, I'm assuming. Yeah, no green outline. So I'm pulling the hard drive temperatures. So this is one of the things that people have been wanting is like, how do you have a system that constantly talks to your TrueNAS? And, you know, one, we want to know that TrueNAS is happy and running. Then we want to know what's the drive temperature. So this will, I mean, this is where it's stopping for some reason. Oh, I know what's wrong. Well, not really wrong. We'll change it to 40. Then we'll go back, execute the workflow. The threshold, there's no drives that have a problem. So now we went all the way to the end. There we go. Now it spits out our disk temperatures for this. So any drives that are over 40, it lets us know there's an alert. Now, if there's more drives in this system, it's only letting me know the ones that are alert. So this is a conditional one that doesn't send a report all the time. It sends a report when the threshold is exceeded. So these drives are operating at 41. We can lower the threshold and then put more drives in there. But these are the tools I'm working on because I don't really get some people's usage of this. I see so many people like, you can connect it to AI agents. Fantastic. What do you do with it? What is the things that are tangible and what do you trust it to do? Because I like this, for example, I have a problem. I have a bunch of TrueNASs, and this is a business problem for other business owners I work with. They're going, how do I manage all my TrueNASs and how do I get them to give me a report? I need to know if the replications across all my fleet of TrueNASs, what's the status of all those? Well, we can go here. We can run this report. And here's a nice replication report. Here's each one of the systems, my HL15. Here's both of these jobs finished. Great. Here's my HL8. Only has the one job, and it's the job's pending because I have it paused, but I know that. Here's the bigger one, the Mini R. This is where my videos get to where they need to be. And look, all these finished. I have this nice report. I know which one's finished. I know which ones are pending. If there was any failures in here, I would have those in here as well. This is what we've been working on for n8n, is building very tangible tools for setting this up in TrueNAS. So it doesn't just, you know, tie to AI like a lot of people do. I want to build stuff that like really helps and is useful for people, especially because I don't trust the way people blindly like want their system to, I don't know, like have full access. I'm like, you want n8n to have access to everything? I'm a very cautious person, especially with my storage servers, because this is where all my data lives. So what I have is an n8n account. And my n8n account is make sure people can read this here, read-only admin. I need to give it admin, but I gave it read-only admin. So it's only allowed to query for data, which obviously from a security standpoint, it's a risk because you could learn where all my data is going. You could now use this to read only your way into understanding my backups, but at least it doesn't give you a write access. That's the part where I'm always a little bit worried about it. So the n8n stuff I've been testing with is all about building it to be a proper admin, getting you the notifications, and maybe if you trust it enough, you could attach different points in here by which there's an error, and maybe you do want to have a credential that comes to you for approval, or maybe you just want it to approve a workflow to do that. I like the idea of automating workflows, but I also really feel this leads to some of the problems I see in tech of, I like the way my friend is always phrased this. He's a long time orchestration person, sysadmin, and he says he comes in and fixes a lot of companies where they had someone who could fix the flappy thing. And that's what he always called it. We fixed the flappy thing with another flappy thing. And people would build these automations all the time to go, well, I built an automation because this service keeps stopping. So the automation watches for the service to stop, and then it starts the service again. But sometimes the thing that watches it doesn't do it. So when that's flapping over here, we have to make sure this ain't flapping. So we have another service to make sure that's not flapping, another service to make sure that's not flapping. And no one stops to ask, why is the service flapping? And I'm very careful because my jobs don't really ever fail unless there's a reason. And then I should investigate and fix the reason myself and make sure I figure out what that reason is and make sure that reason doesn't happen again. That's why I'm very deliberate in my way of having this set up so it does different admin tasks. And these are where I'm starting with the tasks. I'm going to have some more, but TrueNAS seemed like the first one I wanted to attack because it's my most, I just don't think TrueNAS has ever decided, especially when you have a bunch of them, they've never built a good tool to just give me status. They'll notify you on failures, but this brings it all to one place. It can reach out to all of my TrueNASs, bring back the status from all of them. And then this can be expanded to monitor client systems for clients that need help monitoring, where they say, hey, it'll log in, it'll do the thing, but it doesn't have read-write access. So centralizing this much power doesn't give people over egregious levels of control, because that's where that would be scary. No, I have a problem with TrueCommand too. Yeah, one second. Let me talk about this real quick. So, sense of interest to me, is there any mini replacement that you play with? I set up Garage, 3 nodes, want to set up Seaweed for its tiering. I think Garage is the popular one, but I got to research them and really figure it out. Because, we're all looking for a Min.io replacement. Min.io certainly did a speed run of destroying their business. Yeah, you can use glances to see the drive temps on the home page, but the problem is in the way it runs in here, by having this as an automation. Now, right now I'm running it manually, obviously, because that's just, for demonstration purposes. I'm clicking it and executing this workflow. Ideally, what you want is a workflow that runs, let's say, every 10 minutes, because it's using SSH, and every 10 minutes, we're going to check the drive temperatures. Maybe 5. Maybe you're a little more, want to know every 5 minutes. But reality, a fan that fails, how much would a drive heat up from one 5 minute to the next? Is 10 minutes enough? I'll leave that up to you. Those are the details people can debate about. But what's important is that it runs on a regular basis and checks the drives across, once again, my fleet of systems. Cumulatively, let me think, 30... I have 60 drives that I need to monitor the temperature of. Just mine. I can also probably monitor the temperature of my friends' drives as well, because I can monitor them remotely as I have remote access to there. So if you're listening, Mike, I can build this for you too. And we can monitor the temperature of all the drives across all these systems, which would be probably over 100 hard drives. Now that's kind of a nice system, because then we could do it. If you wanted, going further, I want to build the building blocks and ideas in people's heads, and I'm giving all these away when I'm done with them because I want people to be able to have them so I can collaborate with any of you, because people are going to build in their own ideas and enhance it and hopefully give that away as well. So my goal is to build these and give them away and be able to build good monitoring for any of your systems. Now, obviously this works in the Homelab, but it scales upwardly to businesses. So I think it's kind of neat. That's some of my use cases for the beginning here of n8n. Back to TrueCommand. The problem I have with TrueCommand has full access, and they don't have a read-only version unless they've changed it recently. Granted, it's been a year since I've looked at it, but TrueCommand doesn't have a system that does read-only. That's a problem, because TrueCommand, if someone were to compromise your TrueCommand instance, they can nuke everything it's attached to, and that bothers me. I don't like that. Maybe they're rewriting it so it can take advantage of the read-only API features, but to my knowledge, the TrueCommand didn't have that feature last I looked. You might be able to automate smoke testing with n8n, leading to automation updates, upgrades, requiring lots of monitoring. One of the other fun things you can do with n8n is also send alert to Home Assistant. So you could actually have your drive temperature alert. I could put a little light on the wall, like a red light, and it comes on to let me know, like blinks. Do something about this. You have an error message. Yeah, n8n for security runbooks. One of my friends is working on, there are times when it can be useful to pipe it into an AI. An example of that might be one of my friends is doing it for analyzing submissions for, it's an audit trail for submissions for compliance when people are writing compliance documentation. So I'm waiting to see what when he finishes it to better describe it, or maybe bring him on the channel and let him describe it. So there's sometimes, because AI, large language models, because AI is like hype, and large language models specifically are good at, if you give it a template like, hey, read this pile of words someone has sent me, confirm it has this matching type of data that will help me determine if it's compliant with what I'm trying to match it to. Those are good use cases as well. I don't know that I would bother setting up packet fence. I'll pull it up for people that are interested in it, but I don't really have a use case for it. I played with it a while ago. It's novel. Why do I need packet fence? Lots of people being devices, role-based access control, eliminate malware. That's hype and marketing. You don't eliminate malware with this. That's stupid. Why are they putting that on here? Like, I don't even, that is some BS. Sorry. Eliminate malware with packet fence. Fully supported, trusted, open source network access control. Network access control is often not the problem with malware. Matter of fact, it's one of those things with, if you're properly doing zero trust by definition of NIST means position on the network doesn't grant you access. It's a layer. I don't want you on my network, but if you were to sneak in, plug a device into my network, you would find yourself at login screens. Like, position on the network should not be what determines your security posture. This is what zero trust. Matter of fact, for most businesses, it's always hybrid, partially people working from home. So I'm like, it's kind of neat, lock things down, rigorously. But on the other side of it, I found, just from, especially doing consulting, this is the stuff that goes haywire that causes people's entire networks to be out because they've locked everything to only authorized Macs. Then they have a problem with an update for their packet system, their wherever they're doing it, their radius server that runs inside a packet fence. And next thing you know, the whole thing doesn't work. Like, you're adding complexity, but I don't feel it changes your security posture substantially unless you absolutely are going, no, I need to lock every single device down into a list. I don't know. I don't have that much interest in it. I know people like it, and someone, was really insistent it's the only way to be NIST compliant. I disagree with that statement, but someone can agree with them and they can spend time on the adventure. Especially, I literally hate this, that they put this on here. Eliminate malware. Malware's not on the freaking network. It comes in, it's on the network, but it's not like let's go over to the differ report and why not? I always say go there, but let's actually go there. This is what drives me crazy about people. It's not like this stuff is a secret. Let's see. Links ransomware, single-click Lunar Spider, blurring lines. Lunar Spider, 2-month intrusion. Let's see. Began with a Lunar Spider JavaScript. JavaScript file been previously reported associate Lunar. Cool. Initial access. Infection began with execution on JavaScript file. Awesome. So Well, I'm sure Packet Fence would have completely stopped this one. I mean, look, they were executing stuff as code on their system, then, you know, went around the network on an already on device. Maybe this one, Packet Fence would have stopped. Here's another one. Let's go. Where's initial access? First announced access was a successful RDP login to an existing attached host. Once again, Packet Fence fails to collect malware. What about this one? Maybe this one. Initial access. Explore.exe. Okay. Once again, browser executed. They got privileges of the user. Can I just say that network intrusion based on locking it down? We can probably go through all of these, by the way. And I bet you won't find one in this list that's recent that Packet Fence would have stopped. I see so many people get so obsessed with locking down every port on the network as if, I'm not saying it's not a threat. And maybe some people have different threats than I do, where they're really concerned about someone plugging something into their network. But plugging something in the network isn't usually where the problem comes from. It's the people that are able to click on resume.pdf.exe that are really, those are the risk factors that you should be focused on. And if you've solved all those problems, then go ahead and move on to the other stuff. Maybe I'm ranting too much on this. Oh yeah, garage object storage, yes. Oh, what website is this? I'll message it right to you. If you're asking about the differ report. Here. I'm assuming this is the one you're asking about. Oh, cool. Actually, my friend just messaged me, and we will. I'll follow up with you, Dan, on this topic. I spent some time Thanksgiving, and Dan's got some before. I took some before pictures, but Dan's going to have some after pictures of what being done. So maybe and Dan will do a live stream or just talk about building his rack, because he's been doing an absolutely amazing job at his new basement / Homelab / gaming room / AV room / board game room rebuild. So it's been super cool. Yeah, there's and Dan rack mounted all of his stereo equipment too. So we have rack mounted all new Unify stuff. We have rack mounted stereo equipment. It's super slick. He's been building away at it. He sends me photos every now and then of the build he's doing. And, what I want Dan, me and him will have a conversation about as well is some of the choices made in doing that. Because that's a big piece of it. Isn't just doing it. It's the choices of like coming up with ideas. And, Dan had a lot of ideas, and then I talked about some of the ideas as well. I don't have an easy way to drag signal over here, but I can drag this over. Like, this is the very before picture. This is when we first, we're pulling things around and getting it ready. So this is unfinished, but you get the idea of what we were doing. But he's made it. We had to do some weird troubleshooting, but we got it. It was supposed to be like a 2 or 3 hour project to turn into like 8 or 9 hours. I got to go out to Dan. Dan doesn't live too far, but it's a little bit of a drive for me. I'm in Detroit area. Dan's roughly in Chicago area, and so I got to go back out there. He's cleaned up a lot of the wiring. It looks a lot better. The project's coming along. I like those projects. You know what I should do? It's December. And I don't have a way to pull it up on here, but you can email me vlogthursday at lawrencesystems.com, vlog@lawrencesystems.com. People sometimes forget the word Thursday, so I have a couple different aliases. If you want to email me some of the rack pictures and bring it up for discussion, maybe I'll do something along those lines and share some of them. So yeah. Definitely fun. fun talking about all this. And I have to move a few things out of the way because I have things that have not been released yet that I'm testing in my lab, but I plan to move them, and I wanted to show some pictures of what my rack looks like now, some of the different things that I've been doing, and kind of go over all of it because it's changed some since I first installed it. But yeah, I kind of want to do the what's in my home lab and give people ideas for things. I have a lot more things in it now. It starts out so minimal and you just keep adding and adding and adding. And next thing you know, get all kinds of things in there. Mike, yes, the Railstream one. Hold on, we got to find it. I can pull that up. The Railstream project. Me and Mike got to get together and record it, but I can pull that one up. I'll drag that right here. But yes, this is the Railstream stuff. It's looking pretty nice. Got the cables all looking good. Lots of fiber going across. And lots of trains. So lots of fun stuff there. Free IPA. Yes, there's some Tom stuff in there too. Yeah. Man, I just realized I can't even pull up my Unify cameras completely because they're pointing. I put cameras in my lab area and there's stuff sitting in there that's under NDA still. Free IPA. No, not free IPA. I'm free IPA. I don't, once again, it's novel, but I don't know. I don't really have a use for it. Identity policy audit. I think I might do this at some point. Authentic. I knew I was spelling it wrong. I think this one shows a lot of promise if you're looking for an identity app. The thing I don't do in my home lab or lab is I don't want at all central identity. I like it all being separate. I don't want, because I've seen some people ask like, well, don't you want one login for all your TrueNASs? I said, absolutely not. It's just that would be the same as using the same password everywhere. I like to keep everything very compartmentalized and separate. But when you're running a business and you have to onboard, offboard users, absolutely, you need a good authentication system for the users. Admin and users have different needs and therefore different levels of way you think about things when it comes to credentials. When it comes to the admin side, compartmentalize everything. So any compromise of a thing can't be the compromise of all the things. And that's the mindset I keep for all management tools, hypervisors, storage, network interfaces. I don't want some giant single sign-on for all of that equipment. Well, I kind of have it with Unify, I'll admit, because Unify gives me one central place to manage all of my network gear. It is what it is. But Authentic for a management system makes a lot of sense. They've done a lot of good engineering. It plugs into everything. You can self-host it. MFA, conditional access. It's open source. FIPS compliance. Does have support. Can do passkeys, GUIP, impossible travel, OAuth, OIDC, SAML, SCIM, LDAP, Radius, SSF. I didn't even know Apple Business Manager was part of it. So yeah, They've got a lot in here. I haven't had time to really dive into it. I know people are using it and they like it. So it seems really popular. I think they've done a good job with this. This is kind of if I was going to do identity management, I would do authentic. Yeah, I do want to get around to doing a video on it. It's just a matter of timing. No, I have a password manager, but this is the thing with password managers. Yes, I have a password manager. Password managers, though, you have a compensating control when you set up a password manager. The compensating control is user pass, then two-factor. So if you were to compromise my password manager, you would get my usernames and passwords, but not the extra factors that go with them. Even my SSH keys, which, by the way, I don't keep in my password manager. Maybe I should. You know, I've been debating about that, if I put my SSH key in there or not. I don't know. I lock that down super tight, but my password is separate. It's in actually, the only place it lives is in my head, so that's probably dangerous. But my SSH key that I use pretty much on all the systems, the public key is available on all the systems. I have a password on that key. Actually, I have two different keys and whatever. The password is on the key. So even if someone compromised the key, the compensating control to stop people from using that key to run amok with my network would be, or any system they would have access to, would be they'd have to know the password. And that password for that key only lives in my head. Yeah, you do not put your password manager on your MFA device. Because people will go, Tom, why don't you use Bitwarden on the phone? I'm like, because my TOTP is on the phone. And my TOTP doesn't open unless you have a password. That's another, like one of those things. So when I go even to open it, there we go. I have to not scan fingerprint. No. I don't do biometrics here. I have to type a password in order to get to it. Yes, that's inconvenient. It's as inconvenient for me as it is with anyone who tries to compromise my accounts. So, yeah. I don't like dependence on third parties, so I don't like to use Duo. I know Duo is popular and lots of people use it. It's great. If you like Duo, you know, I was early user of Duo. I actually, I used to go to some of the events where they were and stuff like that. The great people there. And some of the Duo people actually, after they left, wandered over to Huntress. So I'm still in touch with a handful of them. But anyways, Duo is not a bad idea. I just don't like, when I can avoid it, external dependencies on my authentication. By the way, unless they've changed it, and I don't think they have, Duo fails open when it can't have internet. If you have it on something like a Windows system, Duo has to fail open. Fun story. There was a interesting breach that happened a number of years ago where the exploit they did was they got control of the firewall. And they got the usernames and passwords, but they didn't have their Duo. And I believe it was the Red Cross. Let me find it. Let's find this article. We'll see how good is Tom's memory here. So Red Cross hacked Duo fail open. You got to do a sinkhole DNS. So, oh yes, 2018. Here we go. Oh, this wasn't. No, this is just a write-up from it. Try to find the actual one. I believe it was a Red Cross that was hacked. I can't find the actual. I feel it doesn't matter who was hacked. This is the example of it, because how they hacked this one particular company that had Duo, it was how they bypassed their 2FA. They got access to their firewall. They just sinkholed Dual's IP addresses so it couldn't reach out. And then they were able to log in as administrator. that's kind of scary to me, that it fails in that way. So kind of interesting, but nonetheless, the reliance on third parties always is, in some business contexts, it's probably the best solution. I also really am a big fan of, the YubiKeys. So I keep a YubiKey in my system. I like those too. I have a pair of them. So no complaints there. Why don't you host your own Vault Warden? Well, Vault Warden is a third party from Bitwarden. And because I'm a Bitwarden user, I don't want to rely on a third party piece of software. So I use it first party. I use Bitwarden with Bitwarden, but I mean, I don't know any problems with Vault Warden. Feel free to use it, but it is third party. And if I understand it correctly, Vault Warden just hosts the back end anyways. But, use what works for you. I don't think Bitwarden and having Bitwarden hosted is all that bad. I've also done videos on how to set up Bitwarden so you can host it yourself. So it's not hard to host, but it's definitely a much more in-depth program to host it yourself because it has its own sets of dependencies and extras versus Vault Warden obviously doesn't. For Duo, you have to configure it to fail open. By default, it fails closed. That's a fail on the part of the company by administration. No, Duo. Up until unless they recently changed it. Let me find the page. There's a support page that. Okay, so as of version 4.3. So now they do. When did version? Here's a question. Duo 4.3 come out. So as of 2024. So prior to 2024. They would fail open. So, yeah. By default, Duo Authenticator for Windows login will fail close as a Windows error and blocks Windows login if unable to contact Duo service. You can set the failure mode to fail open by selecting bypass Duo when offline. So, yeah, as of a year ago, I guess they would do it. We can double check here. This is why we love the Wayback When machine. Way back. Having a hard time typing today for no reason. See if this article, what does it look like in 2022? Need a Wayback Wendell machine? That one's failing the low. Let's go to the other one. Maybe. I gotta donate money. Let's still spend it at least. But I mean, their own words say will fail close as of 4.3. So definitely used to fail open. There's several, like I said, you see a few articles I pulled up when you look up fail open. I think it doesn't like this page. I'm not big on the TP-Link stuff. I've just found them to be two things: very buggy and 2, not good with security updates. They seem to be just kind of laggy and behind on them. The biggest one was the Log4j. I know that was a couple years ago, but that was one that I can like put my finger on that they did. So there's just not much I care about for TP-Link. I think they're a company. I don't think there's malicious intent necessarily. I think they just don't care. They're trying to be 20% cheaper than Unify, but they're making software to sell a product. Then they put just enough effort to keep the product selling. So I don't care much for the TP-Link Omada stuff. And last I looked, like I said, it was only about 20% less than Unify, if that. And the quality difference is night and day. It's one of those, I know budgets are what they are, but I don't feel like it's justified to save the money. Yeah, well, the reason it was fail open for years is exactly what you said here. If you lose connectivity, then you end up very much in a bad situation. Yeah, losing connectivity is a huge problem. Oh, of course, there we go. Trying to organize these windows here. Here's a question on a FOSS security product. Have you ever seen or used the Malcolm Traffic Analysis Suite? I, before now, have not heard of it, so the answer is no, I have not. So it's called Malcolm. I spelled that completely wrong. L. Nope, never used it. It kind of reminds me of it's like NTOP is the most, I get my head out of the way. NTOP is probably the most popular one. This sounds like it does something similar. Oh, it's doing it with Elastic. See, powerful traffic analysis, streamlined deployment, secure communication, permissive license. Yeah, they're just using Zeek and a few other things on there. Quick start. I feel like it's going to come down to how well maintained is it. All these are very familiar things, but I can tell you these things like are also the things that like to break on update. So if someone's gluing together, if someone is gluing them together well, fantastic. Reminds me, I mean, at this point, set up Security Onion because this is all the same tooling on the back end of Security Onion. And what Security Onion has, that the Security Onion has a bunch of traffic analysis, and it has all the threat hunting tools in there as well. So They have an example Docker file in here. There we go. Yeah, might be a fun thing to play with. Oh, I just seen it's directly from CISA. Oh, forked from CISA. Interesting. Definitely looks like a pretty neat tool. What was their site again? Malcolm.fyi. We will clip this, and I'll put this on my list of things that look interesting to me. Tag it with security. There we go. Yeah, I just put the URL in here. Cool. This goes to my, if you want to know where that's headed, where did it go? Drag this window over here. Oops. This is Joplin. So here's, you know, if I wanted to add more notes, you know, found on, say, actually, or 6.7, whatever number this one is. But I like using this. Actually, we'll copy some. I probably could have clipped the whole page, but I'm not. I just wanted that. We'll clip. Why not start here and clip down? Control C. There. Got some text in here now. But this is Joplin. I'm doing a video on Joplin really soon. I really like Joplin for notes taking. This has just been fun. Oh, this tool looks pretty cool too. I like its name. It's the Lube Logger. I'm going to set this up. Hey, and people who are asking, I am working on this. I've been putting together Garage, RustFS, and SeaweedFS comparisons. This, I need to make the same chart for some of the other ones, but I do all my notes in Markdown and save them in Joplin, and it's been great. I used to use LogSeq. I moved over to Joplin. Joplin syncs on the phone beautifully. I have had zero, actually it syncs between all my computers and the phone using the self-hosted Joplin server, and it just works. It works wonderful. So I've been really happy with it. I tried it a while ago and I was less happy with it because it was, I don't know, we'll just say buggy. It seems to have solved all the buggy problems because I don't have really any issues at all. I've synced stuff. I put stuff on the news in here. I put my thoughts in here, my to-do lists in here. I like the web clipper. It just never fails. So overall, I've been saying like Joplin's been really good. Thoughts on Joplin versus Obsidian? The fact that Obsidian's not open source removes it from my choices. That's why I did a video talking recently about like open source licenses. I don't like companies that sell proprietary software if I can find an open source one available. And because there are good open source alternatives out there, I don't look at Obsidian or there's a handful of, what's the other one that's really popular? Notion. Notion has like a cult following of people, and it's I don't know if it's closed source. I think Obsidian makes it easy to get your data in and out of, right? Because there's two factors. There's first, I prefer open source. Second, I don't like things that lock me in, like put data in but hard to get data out. Joplin, by the way, LogSeq, the reason I have all those notes in there, I was able to easily, within a few minutes, take all of my data out of LogSeq. Minor exception. LogSeq does journaling, and there's not a one-to-one equivalent. So I couldn't just pull all my journals in because I can. I just don't know where to put them. And I don't really now do journaling inside of Joplin. I'm looking at maybe doing journaling with a separate app. But LogSeq's Markdown, Joplin's Markdown. Joplin has an import. Joplin has an export. So getting things in and out of Joplin is not a problem. I just haven't used Obsidian, so I don't know. Maybe it is easy to get things in and out of it. It could be completely simple, and I'm unaware. You can do to-do lists. You can build, I think you can build, I never build checklists, but you can put checkboxes. So I think so. How would I, there's probably a way to do that. Actually, the documentation is really good. Let's go ahead and yeah, so it does markdown checkboxes. The to-dos are can be checkboxes as well. So you could also just put a bunch of to-dos. It comes down, that's a little bit of a workflow nuance. Dark mode. Okay, so Obsidian is markdown files as well. I remember looking at Obsidian, and yeah, LogSeq, I really like LogSeq, but man, their phone app is terrible. And just synchronization, I was using SyncThing for a while, and that works, but you're not dealing with like native application level solving sync problems. Joplin, across operating systems and phones, just syncs very, very smooth. When I'm out and about, if I don't have the VPN on my phone to get back home, I add notes to Joplin, and they all show up when I get home without any thought to it. I pop Joplin open, all the synchronization happens, life is good. You know, whenever I'm bored somewhere, which is frequent, if I go somewhere I don't want to be, so I'll if I find myself with some free time, I will read. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I'll make some notes about what I'm reading and put it over in Joplin. Like, hey, I should check that out. That's a cool suggestion someone had. So I've been really happy with it. You had to drop to the shell to run bad blocks and smart control manually. Scale is solid. Yeah, that's a debate for the folks over at TrueNAS. Yes, that's exactly the answer. Is ZFS is a better way to manage the drives, not trusting smart. Okay, so Obsidian is all plain Markdown. That's cool. Yeah, it's still not open source, but at least it's not locking you in. That's I get it. I try to use as many open source applications as I can, but sometimes I edit videos in a closed source program called DaVinci Resolve because it's the best editing software out there. I don't know an equivalent out there that works as good as DaVinci in the open source world. And I've tried them. I used to use OpenShot when I first started. Then I started using Kdenlive. I still like Kdenlive quite a bit. I wish it was less buggy. I think it's gotten better over the years, but it's still, and I know it's just not a commercial product with commercial level support. So it doesn't have the same features as DaVinci Resolve. So yeah. But hey, thanks. Now I don't remember who suggested it really originally. I know a lot of people do like the Trillium notes. I know there's some forks of it. And one of the things that kind of brings me to, I don't, why does it do that? Let's look up Trillium notes. So I was going to copy and paste because I don't have to type. Oh, look, someone did Trillium versus Joplin. Both are the best. So yeah. Someone says Trillium's the best, but it's unstable. I don't know what that. Does Trillium have the syncing ability? How does it sync? Trillium looks nice. I'll admit that I like the design. Get started. Get an exe. Linux. Set up server. Okay, so they do have a syncing server. Installation and setup. Using Docker. Docker Compose, Docker Compose up D. I got to admit, for a company that makes a pretty software, this is some odd choices. Like that's not easy to read. So yeah, interesting. I wouldn't say this one's bad. Feature highlights. It would be a aggregate IRC and channel registers back in the day. Yeah, I mean, that's what I think of too. Is there used to be I remember some tool about that would do IRC, and it was called. I thought that's what it was called. Was Trillion. When you did your recent announcement of pfSense adding VXLAN, you didn't demo it. No, I don't use VXLAN. I don't have a need for it. I said it's there. People like you who use VXLAN can go wild with it. If you know how to use VXLAN, I just don't feel like doing a tutorial on it. You know, it's funny. I try to do tutorials on things that have some popularity, but obviously some of my TrueNAS ones have really flopped because even though I show something, if you get too deep in the weeds showing something, 10 people watch it. that's kind of the challenge. I did a video on how to fix ZFS replication jobs. Once again, showing ZFS commands and doing stuff on the command line, the views tank on it. So taking the extra time it would take to do a VXLAN video, yeah, I don't think it'd get any views. What's your view on ButterFS regular Linux system for daily use? Something getting single or multiple drives. I don't have a use for it, so use it if it makes you happy, but I wouldn't go for it. I mean, the videos are, but there's a production value of the time it takes to build that video. And do I spend how many hours on that versus a project that teaches a broader audience? That's always the balance you have to keep. And unfortunately, if you constantly focus on the videos that are only 10 people, no advertiser will spend money. It sucks because, it just becomes a time sink to do some of those videos. I like doing in-depth videos. I cover a lot of things, but there's a balance of how esoteric is it. So it sounds like you already know how to use VXLAN, so you wouldn't even watch it. So, if you already know VXLAN, which by the way, I'm not an expert by any means, but my understanding of VXLAN is there's a ton of problems as it crosses through different vendors. It seems to be, it's a standard, but we don't always follow the standard type of thing. Based on talking to network engineers, it's not part of my daily use anyways to use VXLAN. I just don't have a need for it. Yeah, ButterFS has been around for a while, but it's always second fiddle to ZFS. Well, and there comes a whole other problem with doing a VXLAN video. I don't know if I did a video on VXLAN, would it even do what you need? That I don't even know. And it's not just, no, I don't, trust me. I far from only do videos for views. I would be just jumping on AI hype train right now if I wanted views. I could, doing videos for views, and I could just do a bunch of, you need to be excited about this really amazing, awesome thing, and that would be for views. I could just be clickbaity. I did videos, and I'll pull it up just for context here, because maybe people don't know what I did videos on. But if we scroll down through here, me doing a video on how to set up an NAS. I mean, that got more views. I guess it's all right. But like this one here, 4,000 views. Not that it took forever to make it, but if I just wanted to cover Homelab things, because by the way, if you look at like, here's a video on VDevs, 12,000 views, 11,000 views. I could jump on the Unify hype train and do it. I like XCP-ng. So I do a video on XCP-ng, once again, 7,000 views. So you can trust me, I don't do them for the views, but at some point, if I got so esoteric down into some niche little thing, I wouldn't even break 7,000. So how many hours should I put into it? Also, most of my videos aren't really view driven. They're driven by what I know and what I'm doing or what I'm working on with a customer. Those are things that drive my videos. Like I do consulting on XCP-ng quite a bit. So my videos are driven by XCP-ng. The immutable truth about backups. People do not understand immutability. That question comes up like a circle. That video got a little more views than I expected, but it's still only 25,000. I do not get as many views. But if I go to jumping on hyped up things, absolutely, I could get more views. I'm just able to keep the balance right now of not having to do that. I'm able to talk sponsors into sponsoring some of these videos, even though because some of the sponsors always start out with saying they want a vanity number. Do you get a million? I'll pay you this much if you get 1 million views on a video. Well, I got to do something very broad audience to get 1 million views. So we narrowed it down. Plus this, with me back to being consultant and working directly again. I don't lean on sponsors as much. So, which is one of my goals, not to do that. So it's not about exactly for the views, but you do want to take the time to make something that someone's going to view because of the hours and hours it takes to produce, edit, and send out a video. So yeah, and image, I'm genuinely using image. I didn't choose image because it's popular. Well, the popularity of it led me to look at it because people were talking about it. And I said, wow, this is really cool. So my video on image was because I'm using image. Like there's no other reason for it. I didn't do it just to get views. I figured I like it. Maybe you'll like it too. Matter of fact, with n8n, if you want to be more popular with n8n, and I don't think the same amount of popularity is going to come out of this versus if I titled the video, you can connect this to all of your agentic AI BS. You can tie it to 10 different AI agents and have it close the lid on your toilet and make determinations of your poop. I mean, that would probably get a bunch of views. I don't know how useful that is to anyone, but I bet someone would watch it. I don't know. I'm burnt out on some of the AI hype stuff, but if I wanted views, you'll know when Tom's sold out. When all I do is look at what's trending and make a video about it. You know, there's a bit much of that already out there. n8n has definitely become popular because it absolutely, from an ease of use to build things, is impressive. I get why it's exciting, but it's also like if I were to have to write this from scratch, it would have been a lot more work. Like if I had to build this as an application, but with n8n, it's arbitrary. They've done just a nice job when you look at like even credentials, like to be able to put stuff in, throw in your API stuff, Docker, here's the systems, and you just drop a key in. Like, there you go. It just puts it all in, and it's simple and easy. They just did this really nice. Like here, you want to add an SMTP? Cool. So they already separate all your credentials versus your workflows. So then when I want to build a new workflow, and by the way, there's all kinds of workflows you can do to post everything to your socials, all of that. Check every 15 minutes, find new videos. This is where you may want to send it to AI and attach it to one of the AI agents or tools you have to, build some language for it and text for it, and then push it to all those, record the action, create a calendar event over in Google to let me know to check it. Like you can build entire easy workflows with a bunch of external features, and it's simple. It's really beautiful how they've built a lot of this out in here. That's why it's so popular. I get Node-RED is cool, and it's a low-code opportunity to use it. But man, when you start looking at how much more this is because they've built in so much of it. So you look at these, like this is just like get Docker status, get alerts, get the NFS, header overlay, get alerts, get system info, execute command. What command are you executing? You're going to SSH into the TrueNAS mini-R. You're going to run a command, execute command. Let's go ahead and execute this step. We're going to call the system info. There, cool. There's all the system info. Then we're going to go through and parse out that data, grab what we want out of this system, and build a report with it. Because after that, what do? You're going to code in here, spit it out, filter it, aggregate it, merge it together with the other one. So merge, bring it over here. And what do we want to do at the end of it? Once again, we could do anything we want. Document generated. At the end, we send an email, but you could also send something else. What do you want to do with it? Send it somewhere, put a human in the loop, wait for approval input before continuing? Sure, put a human in the loop. How do you want to put that human in the loop? Let's send them a Discord message, Google Chat, email, a Teams, etc. Kind of neat how you're able to do that. And you can see you don't have to be writing a bunch of codes for it. Yes, you can integrate n8n with XCP-ng because it uses a REST API. So you can use it to look at all your VMs, import all your data from those VMs, get your status updates, and you can keep going where you say, check my TrueNASs, check my backup jobs that ran inside of XCP-ng, pull them all together in a report, and give me a status update on all of that. Could use Claude or Codex CLI via SSH if you have a subscription. Yeah. I've used Ansible before. How does it compare to n8n? I'm going to say Ansible is very different compared to n8n. I mean, Ansible is great in its own right, but it's not really the same as n8n. It doesn't have the same visual already built in. The real thing about n8n is the building blocks, and that's what makes it so cool. It has so many different building blocks built in for connectivity, both in to pull data in and out, send it to teams, and all the different API connections for external things. And granted, I know n8n themselves lean into, hey, you can attach this to your AI agents, which is cool because if you're trying to build a bunch of things like pull all these YouTube videos before you post them to social media, create a custom post for each one of the platforms. Well, that's something AI is pretty good at it because it's large language. Running my own mail server? No. I mean, you're looking at n8n in the background here. I mean, it's like I said, not quite like Ansible. In some ways, I mean, you can build automations with it, but it's far more extensive. Not that you couldn't eventually get this done, but you're going to be building so much stuff. Like there's not a automatic Microsoft Teams or Slack integration with Ansible. Not that you couldn't figure out a way to make it talk to Teams or Slack or WhatsApp or Telegram or whatever output you want. It's just not native. So you have to build a lot more blocks versus we're just dragging things here back and forth, input, output. We'll bring up the simpler one. Like the disk health is really simple, and this right now doesn't run on a timer, but right here, we're going to make it zoomed in a little bit. We're going to contact this one. I can pick up any of these. Command, execute, and call disk temperature. So when we execute the step, unpin and test, you can see the output. And right there, I've got all my drive temperatures. We'll just execute the whole workflow. String to JSON, spit it out, filter by temp. JSON temp, make sure these drives are over 40. These are the outputted ones over 40. These ones are all 40 or less. So is greater than. Really simple. There's not a lot of code in here, but you can see that we got to what we wanted, which is sending an email. And then we go over here to MailPit where I'm collecting emails. There's the disks right now. This is brand new legit data for the disks that are over 40 degrees. Not that you couldn't build this in Ansible, but I think you'd see it's a lot more steps to build that in Ansible. The problem, with mail servers, the challenge isn't receiving mail, it's sending it. And I ran my own mail server for years. I was a mail server admin for 15, 20 years. It just became such a headache to keep off of the spam list. Even if you host it in the cloud, there was a good rant Jim Salter over at 2.5 admins. I remember him just going on about how Microsoft decided, because I think it was him or one of his clients that had a mail server in Linode. Linode's a popular hosting service, and Microsoft decided Linode wasn't popular enough, and they blocked all mail coming from Linode. And they just did so because whatever, and you can't talk to someone at Microsoft, so you could email anyone as long as they weren't using Office 365 / Microsoft email. Microsoft decided that was on the auto block list for like 6 months. So the only solution is to migrate your mail server somewhere else. For me, because I have to email so many people for my business and consulting, it isn't worth the risk of them not being able to get my email if I use a self-hosted email service. So I do use G Suite / Google Workspace. I still want to call it G Suite. I think that's its old name. I think they just call it Google Workspace. It's not expensive comparatively to what I spend. If you're looking, and I may do a video about this because I might set it up. I think Proton Mail seems reasonable if you go, I don't like Google, I don't like Microsoft, I'm looking for someone to host my email. You can get, and I don't think they're unreasonably priced here, Get Mail for Business, where you can get a, $7 a month. So not unreasonable. $10 a month for more storage. So 15 gigs. And I don't keep, like, I archive a lot of my mail. So if you're someone like that archives 15 gigs is probably reasonable. Mail's not that big unless you're getting a lot of attachments. But even if you go up here, 1 terabyte per user at $12 a month. Not huge cost here. You can get a free account, but can you, hold on. Is there free accounts? Okay, there we go. 1 gig, 1 email address. Do they let you do domains with the free account? I don't think they let you do a domain until you get to the paid accounts. I don't see, and maybe I'm overlooking it here. But either way, the business one does let you do a domain. Yeah, right here, your company domain. So this is probably, it's kind of funny. They use dark mode on the business and they blind you on the home user one. They want you off that page. So that was probably, yeah. I mean, you can get some cheap email through Office 365 too, but then you're in the Microsoft. Have I tried MX Route? No. When it comes to businesses here in the US, I know it's different outside the US. My US clients pretty much all use either G Suite, Google Workspace, or Office, the Microsoft one. That's pretty much, it's a split. Yeah, if they offer a free version, they're going to be on the spam list a lot. Throwing it out there. But some people, and I don't blame them, want to avoid the Microsoft stuff just because Microsoft's not a great company. But yeah, comes down to what you want to work for, what you want to do, what part bothers you. Is it the privacy problems of Google? Is it the privacy problems of Microsoft? Is it the potential privacy problems of Proton? I don't know. I can't vouch for any of these companies to tell you that any of them are great. I think most of the time with the large companies, especially, it's the least worst problem. We're always just choosing the least worst option we can find. Which sucks the least, not what's the best, because we've thrown that idea out the door with a lot of these big companies. Which one of you guys is the least egregious? Which one of you will I hate the least? That's just there's a lot of great tech. I'm excited when I see open source project. I have a lot of fun with TrueNAS. So once we get to the big companies, I may sound a little bit bitter. Maybe all of you do as well. Yeah, I do recommend just in general, because it's not expensive, buy a domain. And that way, at least you can choose easily moving your mail provider on the back end. So you can keep your name at yourdomain.com, dot whatever. There's so many different things. Matter of fact, that's why I was confused. I was looking up this Malcolm one. I'm like, what was the Malcolm site? Malcolm.fyi. So, although this Malcolm tool looks pretty cool. I definitely will be checking that out. Oh, if anyone was wondering, because I know someone probably seen it when I first logged in. I don't hide for anyone's curious. This is the monthly revenue on YouTube. It's higher in December, but it's usually a little bit less than this. But it's between $3,000 and $4,000 a month. That's the payout for YouTube for a channel my size. You'll get all kinds of people stating like it could be this, it could be that. I see numbers all over the place. Big channels like Linus Tech Tips and them obviously get more, but for those wondering, if you see me flash by this screen, I didn't flash by it to hide it. If anyone wants to know, that's the revenue that comes in each month. It used to be more, but Google's ad changes and everything else, it's not that much anymore. I don't know where Proton Mail is based out of now. Switzerland, near Geneva. Switzerland. So they still show that. I should move my head out of the way. They've been around since 2014. I knew they've been around for a minute. They're legally obliged to follow Swiss court orders if Swiss law is broken. So, yep, it's all in the wiki page. It's probably somewhere in an about page I don't feel like digging into. I don't know if they're making any changes. Yeah. 4,000 minus taxes. Well, the tax, the structure, I'm an S corp, so the money comes to me. Then taxes here in the United States have lots of complexities. Money comes into the business, then money is used to keep the lights on, buy the cameras, buy the whatever I need for YouTube. Then I'm taxed on what's left over. The profit is what's left over. And then I get to be taxed on it. So it's not, they're going to necessarily, it's because it's not 4,000 as a payroll. It's 4,000 and then it goes into my S Corp and then it goes in with all the other money in my S Corp. And then all the money gets distributed out of my S Corp. And then what's, from expenses. And then what's left over, I have to pay taxes on. How do you compare wireless range? They have some of the information on their site, but wireless range is real, unless you're doing line of sight. Wireless range is just kind of it. Line of sight's easy to measure. I forget how far it goes, but like I have an outdoor Wi-Fi. It's amazing how far you can get from it. Versus when you have an indoor Wi-Fi, you're like, it's just on the other side of this wall and the connection sucks. There's so many factors that go into Wi-Fi. It's not easy to measure the range. Most of the product changes, with the exception of Unify does make some of the LR models, which are longer range, but generally speaking, density is the biggest difference between the models. So they have a level of density listed based on how many devices can be connected to it. And you'll notice as you go up to the higher end models, they allow more simultaneous devices to be connected. That is where you see like a big swing in why is it more expensive? Oh, it can support 10 times the number of devices. So it's usually not as much about distance and power. That may be a factor. You can look at what the gain is and how much output power it has, but the big thing is going to be the number of clients that can be simultaneously connected to that device. Oh, interesting. Yeah. All the lawmakers across both Europe and the US are being less and less friendly to all of us users. They want to dig deeper into all of us users. So that is definitely a growing problem. Write your whatever the politician of is in representing your area, your country, your whatever political structure you're within, and make sure you know that this is a problem. Follow the Electronic Frontier Foundation. They have talked very much about this and have a lot of resources because they are working hard to fight it. I donate money because besides calling and complaining and voting in against stupid that I see, it's hard to do things, or at least it appears to my head sometimes hard to really get involved. But I do know that the EFF does good work, so I choose to give money to the EFF to help them do that work. And I encourage, if you have funds, don't do it if you're broke. It's important, but obviously you have to think about yourself first and make sure your needs are met. But if you have a few extra dollars that you can donate to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, I highly recommend you do so. I think it's great. Yeah. Isn't even the US. Oh yeah, yeah. The US is pushing this. So is a lot of, we're seeing it across all facets. Politicians across the globe are really pushing for this. They want age verification for things, and it's more about control. They may always claim, because this is their favorite package to wrap it in, think about the children. Anyone who votes against this bill must hate children. No, I don't think that's true. I think that's a bunch of manipulation and BS that they try to wrap it up in. They would like control and knowledge of what you do, and I don't think that's right. They don't. We haven't had a change to privacy laws here in the US. Haven't had any meaningful change since the 80s when VCRs were around. And there just hasn't been any change since. And instead of coming up with good privacy laws or anything like that, we have really bad policies being pushed by people who don't necessarily seem to have a good grasp on what they're asking for, other than they want more control over things. I mean, they're trying to ban VPNs in some areas, both in Europe and here in the United States, because they look at a VPN as a circumvention device. They've tried to ban encryption a bunch of times. They don't like the fact that we have methodologies that are encrypted that we can have conversations with each other. The government would like to be part of those conversations as well, and I'm not a fan of that at all. So yeah, there's definitely a massive amount of that going on. Yeah, Michigan. Now, my understanding, it's not likely to pass, but yes, there is um, a bill to try to ban the VPN usage in Michigan. So yes, could you do a step-by-step virtual environment tutorial? I keep hitting confusion at scale ACL permission. Did you? Uh, I've covered that. I mean, I don't. know exactly which issues you're hitting, but I've definitely covered TrueNAS permissions with SMB and NFS. Both of those have been covered. I have videos on them. Yeah, Great Firewall of China or USA. Yeah, definitely concerning. Like I said, this is why I donate money to the EFF. That's my solution for this. I have a few extra dollars that I mean, that's always a hard thing to determine is what is a few extra dollars. I donate what I think is a reasonable amount of money. I'm going to donate more, but yeah. My question is, what do all the businesses do that use VPNs? The problem is all of this gets based on case precedents. So what we end up with is just fixing it so I'm at the current timeline. Actually, let me fix that in the background because it's really distracting. There we go. Actually, why do I have this window in here? There we go. Let's drag it over there. I got a lot of monitors. What are the businesses going to do? We don't know. The bill is so poorly written that if you write a bill poorly, what happens with it, especially when there's ambiguity in a bill, there are trials because someone will decide to execute that bill going, okay, the law of the land is based on this. We're going to bring a case against XYZ about this. Then the courts have to figure out, did the bill mean business VPNs or VPNs that circumvent? The language is so broad. That's part of the problem. And even Congress will realize, or the politicians sometimes realize, the people sometimes submitting the bills, they're like, yeah, this will cause a mess because it's so ambiguous. It needs to be worded differently. And sometimes they realize when they try to word it differently, especially when they go, we want a backdoor into your chat messages, but we want to make sure no one else but the government has it. And I realize that's kind of an impossible task. So as they try to make the words better to make it enforceable, they realize it's not going to be enforceable and the courts are going to have a hard time understanding it too. Well, that's the whole thing. If a law is so impractical that it may not pass, or if it does pass, it'll go back and get struck down because it's so broad or a law that doesn't make sense. Yeah. We hope they realize, the idiocy bought and paid for by lobbyists is wild. So there's is it called Waltman's Wit? Great quote I heard. Cory Doctorow's talked about this before. I'm a big fan of a lot of Cory Doctorow books and some of his essays, etc. But the problem is, and it's summed up very simply, and this is a situation that applies to politics or a lot of other power imbalance situations, if you will. And it can apply directly to even a smaller group of people. And this is where you're getting screwed. You have an in-group that is protected by the laws, but not bound to it. Then you have an out-group that is bound by the laws, but not protected by them. And you can see that power imbalance that gets created there is where a really big issue is, because we have the in-group, the politicians. They are protected by whatever laws, but they're not bound to them. So they can come up with their rules they want. We're the out-group. We're bound by the laws, but we're not necessarily protected by them. Who's this protecting? It's invading my privacy. It is all at this goal of doing it, but the people writing the law they're not directly affected by this. They can still do whatever they want. They know in some ways, mostly because of their wealth and connections, they're not really bound by the laws that we, the normal average people, are. So once you see those imbalances, you kind of know you're in a shit system, we'll say. And that's where there's a lot of fighting. Yeah, there's no such thing. It's either end-to-end encrypted or it's not end-to-end encrypted. There's not an in-between here. No matter what politicians try to write into law, there's There's not an in-between. It is encrypted or it's not. Me and other end of person, we have exchanged keys in a secure manner to have an encrypted connection between us. Once there's a third party, that third party then becomes part of the party. It's no longer end-to-end, it's end-to-end-to-end. And do we want that other third party in there? I say no. I generally don't need the government reading all of my messages. But nonetheless, we've wandered way off the tech topic. Nobility taking control of peasantry. Over the time of human history, those in castles have always had different agendas than those out in the fields that those castles look over. We'll just say that's not new. It's not recent. It didn't just happen. We can go back to days of old and see patterns of history repeating itself. And history repeats itself. This is like, I've said this many times. History repeats itself, not because we failed to learn its lessons, but because human nature remains the same. That is my go-to reply. I hear, a lot of people say history repeats itself, but there's a little bit more to that line. History repeats itself, not because we failed to learn its lessons, but because human nature remains the same. So we watch these cycles go. All right, we wandered off the tech topic. Let's start talking about tech. They could do something that Cloudflare does where they are a man in the middle. No, I don't want. So that's something about Cloudflare that I don't love. Like, I don't think Cloudflare tunnels is bad to use, but you have to take into consideration who's doing the termination of your security. Kind of in the topic we're talking about, I guess, but we're bringing it back to tech. My thing I brought up into Cloudflare tunnels that I don't think a lot of people brought up is like, you are trusting Cloudflare to terminate your SSL connections. Therefore, they could, not that they would, I'm not implying that there's some group of people at Cloudflare spying on you, but they are the people you are trusting with your certificates that could be seeing things. Therefore, it's just a consideration to take when it comes to what you're trusting. You got that third wheel again with Cloudflare. Yes. History doesn't repeat itself, but it also often rhymes. Yes, that one too. Tech topic. Guess who got their thumbs? Has 2 thumbs up and broke XOA from sources doing an update. Yes. Yeah, I need to update mine. And drag all the windows back over here. Hold on. Close all the windows first. Leave. Too many windows open. So while I blind you with this, ooh, updates. Ooh, neat. Patching time. Yay. All right. They do have the new XO5 out. I'm not on the latest build. Matter of fact, I can already tell you, I'm 57 commits behind on this. I don't know how many commits behind I'm on this one. I don't know if it tells you in here. Probably just at least some number of commits behind. But there's a lot missing in here. I think that, yeah, stats page is gone. Alarms system. I was going to wait till January because that's when I'm going to push a bunch of updates. So January, I'm going to look at that. Oh, I have a fun thing I can show you though. So here's Graylog. Graylog's working great. There's my Graylog using 11% of space. Let's look at Graylog over here though. What's going on with Graylog over here? Oh, is Graylog off? Oh, Studio 2. I'm looking at it right here. Graylog's missing the VDI. I'll wait till an update. When I updated, only Graylog is missing it. It's on all the other ones. So for some reason, Graylog shows up here, but for reasons I don't understand, doesn't show a drive, but it's working fine. It definitely has a drive attached. The backups work. So not a problem. The last backup was on this morning. So the backup works fine. Just for reasons I can't understand, there's no disk showing here. Kind of weird. But it shows here. I haven't figured that one out yet. That's kind of a puzzle. Now, if I go over here, because it's on I'll go to storage actually. Go to storage and go here. We go here. There it is. Now there's more. I don't know why there's this one. I haven't figured. There's something going on with Graylog, and I'm just not sure what. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do a backup and restore, and it'll just magically fix itself. I just find it kind of strange. I don't really understand why it's doing this, because it's pretty straightforward. I don't know. It shows, and you click on it, it shows attached to the VM. It just doesn't show here. So there's the one that's attached. As a matter of fact, I can go here. Let's delete this. I don't need this snapshot. So I'll get rid of that. It's coalescing. Or not. Okay, it coalesced. So this one's still here, and I don't know why. So maybe this is why. It's because there's two of these. I don't know. I'll run a backup. I always back things up before I break things. So maybe I'll try to fix it tomorrow. Yeah, grab the sunglasses. Let's encrypt. I'm sure sure they don't have a copy of your private keys just for fun. I trust Let's Encrypt. I actually know people that work there. Yes, that is the next version of XO is based on dark mode. So XO Lite is built on the same as the new XO. XO Lite is also being developed with the new framework that they're using. So both XO Lite and the new XO definitely are both like dark mode, better graphics. So definitely that. What time is it? How long have I been doing this for? Oh, 2 hours. Woohoo! Here, we'll leave it on this. This is a much better background. Backup issues. VM status. Doesn't show updates in here. Once again, it's not, I should move my head out of the way. It's not complete right now. I'm only using 900% of my CPUs. I don't think that's correct. Let's look. I'm not that over provisioned. I think that would be on the host CPU, 34 VMs. I guess it's counting some of the halted VMs. Oh. 86 out of 60. I am using a lot of them. Whoops. I'm over provisioned. That's okay. How did I manage that? I'll sort that out later. It's probably because I have some of these lab things I was running that have way more cores than I have. I don't need this many cores assigned. I just happen to have this many cores assigned. So, okay, I definitely over provisioned. Oh, that's because 20 of them are assigned to Docker. Docker doesn't need 20. Docker happens to have 20. I put 20 on Docker when I was importing things to image. So I just said, yeah, I'll just give it a whole bunch of CPUs. You can see it certainly isn't using them right now. Yeah, I don't really have any I don't really have any comments other than I can't wait for the AI bubble to pop because it's stupid. I'm just here for those of you that didn't see or don't follow me on LinkedIn. By the way, don't go on LinkedIn just because you want to follow me. LinkedIn sucks. I don't know where else this goes, but I do poke fun a lot at Microsoft on LinkedIn, which is funny because Microsoft owns LinkedIn. So the joke's on Tom. You're drawing attention to people on their platform. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know where else to put it. I post on some of the other socials, but I've gotten to the point where I just don't feel like logging into Twitter. I log in like every couple days to Twitter, Blue Sky, Mastodon. I've never got an audience there. Maybe it's because I don't put enough effort into it. I had an audience on Twitter prior to recent events over the last couple of years, but I feel like the site is so filled with garbage. It's hard to even have your DMs open on Twitter. And by the way, I always expected that the DMs on Twitter would be filled with people asking me questions about TrueNAS or something. Oh no, they are filled with crypto scams all day, every day. Just nonstop crypto scam stuff. And I'm like, can't this stuff stop? I also get a pretty good amount of, I will pay you to retweet my AI things. So the grifters are moving on from crypto scam to please reshare my AI scam, good sir. And I just, I'm driving, it's terrible. Am I on Twitch? No, I've not bothered with Twitch, which is funny. I like live streaming. So, oh yeah, Firefox becoming the new modern AI browser. That's a bunch of BS. So far, what is the best n8n script? My TrueNAS ones are probably the ones I like the most at this moment because it's saving me time. Yeah. If we can just pause the stupid amount of money, because even Microsoft admits, and which is kind of what my meme's about here, no one's wanting this. So you pretty much, Microsoft's answer is like, let's just force it on you because it's such a great product. It must be because you've never heard of it. That must be why you're not using it. Huh? Like, I don't get it. So Microsoft's marketing strategy of just force everyone, stuff Copilot down everybody's throat. Nobody's asking for it. It doesn't do what it says. It does it poorly. It's been a security nightmare. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I can't, I certainly am not influential enough to stop the circle of companies loaning money to each other to build AI products that nobody wants. So I don't really have an answer for that one. I want to get off this merry-go-round. I like technology. These people are disrupting my like of technology. They're driving me a little bit nuts about it. Like, I just want to enjoy. I want to play with some Homelab stuff, and now we can't get memory for our Homelab stuff. I'm probably going to play some video games tonight. That sounds fun. But I'm glad I already have memory. But there's if for those of you that would like to build a new computer, I feel terrible for you. I don't have a solution. I tried switching to a full Linux system, but have opted for Proxmox on Hyper-V to keep gaming capabilities. Any thoughts on multi-purpose machines like this? Jeff from Craft Computing by far has the most videos on virtualized gaming systems. It's not something I have. My laptop I play games on. I don't have a virtualized gaming system, so I have no advice for that. I don't use Hyper-V, so I have no advice on Hyper-V either. Yeah, I can't imagine combining Proxmox and Hyper-V. That just sounds strange. Ooh. Yeah, Hypermox. There we go. I can't imagine combining the two of them. You know, I have debated. I have extra hardware. Should I sell some of it? I have several servers with memory in them I'm not using. I'm like, this might be, I wouldn't think because they're 5 years old. I don't know how much they're worth, but I still have, I barely use these, but each one of I have 3 of these with 128 gig in them. They work fine. They're a couple years old. What are they? And they're not ECC. They're Ryzen 9 5900Xs. I have 3 of these. I've debated, like, I don't need all the horsepower I have. Should I sell these? Like, I debated about this. I wonder if people would be interested in buying them. I'm like, what's because the memory in them is 128 gigs. What's it worth? Or I mean, I'm not using. Obviously, I'm not even using all the memory in it. Look at this. I'm only using half the RAM on this. I'm not trying to flex here. Just saying, I'm only using half my RAM. That's not a flex. Yeah, 128 gig in this one. This one only has a smaller amount of RAM in it. This is just a lab system. And then I have a third one. It's just turned off right now that also has 128 gigs of RAM. So I have 3 of these systems. Like, does someone want to buy my cluster of systems? Yeah, the building hard drive prices. I think hard drive prices, I see someone say that they're high right now. I don't know how high they are. I haven't really looked. But I don't even hosting stuff for my business is so lightweight now. I've thought about moving my business stuff just over to some mini PCs. I actually really like because Jeff from Craft Computing bought one of those micro clouds. I was like, ooh, those are kind of neat. And that would actually take up less room in my rack. So I don't know. I like the minis forums one. I could probably pick up a couple of minis forums in place of some of my Ryzen ones because they'd be smaller and more compact and less wattage. I don't know. These Ryzens, I'll admit, are very low wattage compared to like the Dells I used to have. These replaced my Dell servers back when I was hosting a bunch of stuff at my company. And that's why I had 3 of them in a cluster. But I moved all the hosting stuff. I sold off the MSP part of my business. And I have much less demand on any of those systems now. Spinning Rust has gone up, but SSD prices have shot up. Okay. Yeah, DDR5 is real expensive, and these are DDR4 systems. So that's why I don't think they're probably not worth that much. I just hate when I have unused hardware. That's one of my big challenges is sometimes I run into like I just all the hardware I have and sometimes it's not getting used. So I'm like, oh, what do I do with this? But I am curious right now. Looking for something real quick before I drag it over. Oh, I thought this was just kind of fun. I realized my garage cam also works as a watching Tom cam because my battery went out in my truck. So this was one of the projects I was working on is put new battery in. I like the Unify cameras. They are just really happy with how good they work. Because I got the AI key and everything else now, and I'm just like, yeah. I'm getting ready to do a deep dive on the cameras because they've just added so many features. They just released I think I'm at the 6.2 version of the software. But moving to the cameras has been great. The whole system has just been really good. I don't miss Synology. That's what I moved away from was the Synology system. I was thinking of getting an MSI01, the HPA installed, coming up with something for your old 5.5 inch. Yeah. Rigging stuff together. But I think I'm going to wind this down here because it's been a couple hours. I want to play some video games and relax. Trying to think of what else I have to say. Not a whole lot else. I think I've run out of words after 2 hours. I have 2 laptops, a proper one in our DC. Oh, 2 labs. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. A proper one in our DC and one at home. My home lab consists of 3 MSI, 1 MSA2, fully spec. They work great, all running XCP-ng. Yeah, the mini forum stuff is good. I really like this games. What is it called? This stupid game I play. I keep trying. I know I want to play other games. I do have Cyberpunk, but this has been my go-to game because it's just fun. Oh, look, it's on sale. It's $8.99. It's not even expensive. It's just a fun game. It's older. It's been around for a while, but I like games where people play together. And I say it like that because it's, I like co-op against AI or maybe against a group of people. But the bigger thing I like is that I don't just lose all the time. I'm a casual gamer. I play 2 times a week, probably, sometimes 3, depending on what I'm busy and what I'm up to. But man, it's it just sucks to play a game where people are like intensely playing all the time, putting lots of hours into it. And then when you try to play, it's terrible because you're bad at it. So yeah, definitely. This has been my game. I've been playing quite a bit. I don't know how many hours I got into it. Am I logged into Steam here? I don't know. I'm sure if you go to my website, lawrencesystems.com, you can connect to me on all the socials here. By the way, I learned a lot of people can't see these because if you turn full blocking on with things, and I don't know why, this is part of my website, apparently it blocks social links as well. Because some people said they don't see them on this on the bottom of my page, but that's because they don't see it. So does it say how long I've been playing in some games? No. Profile awards, badges. I don't know. Tom Lawrence from Lawrence Systems. I'm really hard to find here. Got some stupid AI picture of me from a long time ago. From the early days of this is fun, I'm going to generate an image, and I never changed it. It's not that I like that AI picture. I probably have to think about where I even go in and change that. All right. Before I babble on anymore, I'm going to wind it down as I'm way off topic. Thanks, everyone, for coming and hanging out with me. Feel free to reach out on the socials. If you happen to be blocking those socials, unblock my website, and you'll find them at the bottom of the page where you can click on these things to, I make a good Carol. That is a game I like too, by the way. I might replay that game. That's the first time I ever played. Most of the time I've always been like a first person shooter. I just like those, like, especially when I was younger. And when I started getting back into gaming, I gave The Witcher a try and I was like, I love this. And I put a ton of hours into The Witcher and was really happy with it. So, enjoy your gaming, geez. But, yeah, the socials are down here in the bottom. If you want to reach out to me, say hi. I'm a relatively social person. Obviously, that's why I sit and talk to all of you for all this time. But thanks all for joining. I'm going to go find the button that stops the stream. I think it's in here somewhere. Where is that at? Somewhere. Oh, end stream right here at the top. All right. Thanks, everyone. Later.